Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a pour-through activity that is one of the early lessons on soils. So what you need is some simple tennis ball containers that have a hole drilled through the bottom, very fancy. You're going to have a piece of screen that you've cut and put in the bottom of the tennis ball container. And then what you need are 3 different types of soils. So in the curriculum, it encourages youth to begin to understand the landscape around them. So they might go on their school grounds or in their neighborhood and collect different types of soil, and they can use that soil, or you can use soil samples that you might just have lying around. So today I have a coarse sand, so a sand that is really large soil particles. I have a loamy soil, and then I have a clay soil. Take a scoop and get about the same amount of soil in each of your different containers. So I'm gonna get a little less than a cup and pour it in there. It helps if your soil's actually dry. The water will go through more like you would expect. If they have big chunks in them, see if you can get rid of some rocks and twigs and other things that might have collected. Kind of shake it a little bit so it's packed in there. If you have extra soil that comes through the bottom, just dump it out. And then my last sample is my clay sample. So a little secret, what I do for my clay soil is I'll collect it, I'll dry it, and then I'll put it in a blender so that it's all nice and ground, so it's easy to go into your pour-through container. Now you have your 3 different soils right here, and you can begin to ask your youth a lot of different questions, like which soil do you think water will go through the fastest? Which will it go through the slowest? What do you think you'll see when the water goes into the soil profile? How long do you think it'll take? And then if you're using a measuring cup, you can have a measure and make predictions about how much water they think will actually move through the soil. So I have funnels just to make it a little bit easier for the water to go through and not run down the edges, because then it's not going through the soil, it's going through the edge of the container. And then I have 3 more containers, and I've filled them all up to about a cup. So kind of gently poured about the same rate. And then pour a little clay. We'll get caught up here in just a minute. And what I hope that you are seeing is that it went through the sand, the coarse sand, really quickly. And you can ask the students, well, why do you think that happened? Well, sand is so big and it has so much space in between it, it's really easy for the water to go through. In the loamy soil, they're little smaller size particles. The holes between the soil particles are a little tighter, so it takes water a little bit longer, and you can still see that there's a bit of water that hasn't infiltrated the surface of that soil that's still going through. But you can see a lot of it is starting to move through. And on the clay soil, even though we poured it a little bit late, no water has gone through at all. So this is hopefully what your youth might expect to see, is that clay with the tiniest soil particles would be the slowest for water to go through. And if you set this aside in just a couple of minutes, you'll start to see the water drain through. Once the water is all done draining through, you can measure it, and this says that it's about 2/3 of a cup, and we put in a full cup. So you can ask them, where do you think that water is? And it's actually in the soil right now. So this is a pour-through demonstration, really easy to do. This is a simple way to talk to kids about the different soil types, the relationship soil type has to water, and then how plants might grow in a soil that is a little drier or droutier, like a sand, versus a soil that might stay saturated, like a clay soil.